All right, Matthew, are you familiar with AI generated imagery or any of the AI generation systems like Dolly 2, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, etc.?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any like initial thoughts on AI image generation as a whole?
Yeah, I think my very shallow take of it is that I think like as a replacement for art, it's kind of or like if that's the end goal, it's kind of unfortunate and bad. I do think it might have some practical uses like as a creative who works in the creative industry. I think like it maybe could subvert stock imagery or do something like interesting to provide like accessible assets for creatives, but um as a replacement for art itself and expression, I think it's bad, obviously.
And have you ever used AI art or like AI images for like inspiration or like that type of thing?
I've done like the thing everyone has done where
Yeah.
they just like put in prompts and have
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Um, okay, so the first example I have for you. So people have noticed that if you put in specific, like if you ask for like certain types of things for it to generate, some of the systems will actually generate like stock image watermarks on their images. So this is the Engadget article. If you just scroll down a bit, there's
Wow.
some examples. Just like obviously the Shutterstock watermark. Um,
That's actually hilarious.
yeah, and then in addition to that, if you go to the Kotaku one after that, if you scroll down a
Mm.
bit, there's an example of uh it will also do like artist signatures and try to like scrub them out. So
That's crazy.
so obviously that means that their data set is from images that they didn't pay for because then it wouldn't have
Yeah.
the watermark.
I just
Um,
read an article actually. I saw this the other day because I thought one of the cool uses for AI generation would be to like take the place of stock imagery, but I saw that Shutterstock has partnered with OpenAI to
mhm.
create like they are now like creating AI
Yeah,
imagery for Shutterstock directly.
I think like Getty like banned it, and then Shutterstock is like partnering with them, so it's kind of interesting.
I know it's crazy.
So, do you have any thoughts on like the copyright side of like the data sets that they're using? Like, should it be an opt-in thing rather than what's going on now?
What do you mean by opt-in?
Like, basically, like the reason it's doing this is because they're just like scrubbing the entire internet, whether someone wants to be included in in the data set or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it gets hairy when like AI it's like a product, right? It costs like cents to make and generate an image, right? Is that how it works
I
for the
think
most
most of
part?
them are free.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think like it's kind of different nowadays because like the internet just is like it's a separate world that everybody lives
Yeah,
in and does things on. But I think you kind of have to expect that things you post online are going to be like digested in some way. So like especially like a thumbnail of a stock image you made for like Shutterstock, like that's gonna be used, and nowadays that just means by AI. I don't necessarily have a problem with like the AI scanning the whole internet and like using it as a subset because I don't know. Let's say I like post a drawing. The odds of it like actually copying the drawing itself like to a T is like really minimal, but like it might inherit some like of the like imperfections within it. So like I wouldn't even probably recognize my own work as being stolen by an AI, hopefully.
yeah,
But I think in a situation where like it's clearly caught biting one artist, I think that's kind of weird. Like, cause you can like put in prompts that are like, I don't know, like in the
yeah,
style of like Studio Ghibli or you know what I mean. So I think
yeah.
that's a little weird, but yeah.
Okay. Well, this next one is kind of related. I know you're also a musician, so you might have strong opinions on this one.
Mm.
Um, so diffusion. forget what they're called. Stability AI, I think is their name. Um, they're making like a music generation thing, and they've said that it will the data set will only include royalty free music because basically they're afraid of the music industry coming after them. Um, and their explanation about because diffusion models are prone to memorization and overfitting, releasing a model trained on copyrighted data could potentially result in legal issues. And then, so overfitting is when it's like too close to like a source image or something. So do you
Mhm.
think do you, what do you think about the explanation of like they've only scanned the whole internet for art because they're not afraid of anyone coming after them legally, but like obviously the music industry is like famously willing to go after like any small copyright infringement.
So are you asking about this specific, like how the music AI is like
No,
handling the?
what do you think of the like the difference but like their different approach of the
Yeah.
two?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think like looking at this one, I think it's interesting because like you said, the music industry does like go crazy. So like they probably have to present
Yeah.
themselves in a certain way legally. Like this is probably just like them posturing, like even though it's gonna like result in like copyright issues, like you said. I think the thing with like the internet and art that like makes it so much easier for probably like DALL-E or whatever to take advantage of like visual creatives is that like people just post like their drawings to like Twitter or like wherever and like are probably unknowingly like posting their stuff and like in term like there's probably some sort of copyright law that then gets stripped by like posting your stuff to Twitter. Cause like can't you like if you post something on Reddit, like Reddit could make it a billboard. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I haven't heard of that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So like I feel like you're kind of like participating in an unspoken contract by like posting visual art to things like Twitter or things not saying that you should be taken advantage of, but I
Yeah.
think it's easier for like a company or like OpenAI or like AI generated art visually to like take advantage of that rather than music because music like it's like backed by huge powerhouses whereas like a
Yeah.
bunch of creatives on Twitter like they're just individuals who are doing like commissions for like $10 you know.
So basically you're saying it's bad, but there's no way to like police it.
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. I think it's really bad, obviously, but I can't imagine or like a way that could be stopped really unless like these companies start like protecting the content that gets uploaded to them. And by companies I mean like social media. Like if Twitter
Yeah.
had like some sort of filter for like this, like I don't know what that would look like. But I mean, I can go on Twitter and save any image that's on there, just it's on my
Yeah.
phone. So um like it makes sense to me that these AIs are able to do it, but I think it's bad, but I don't know if you could stop it. It's
Yeah.
like the internet is like a runaway train now.
Okay. Next example, you've probably heard of it. So there was a Twitch streamer who was doing a live paint on their stream, like from scratch. They were making a piece of art and then they were going to post it after they were done. And some guy came in during the stream while they were still working on it, took a screenshot of their work in progress, and then he used image to image, which is like a AI plugin for Photoshop, which is like you give it a source image and then it like makes a bunch of variations of the same image in like slightly different styles and stuff. So he used that to basically finish the drawing and then he posted it on Twitter before the artist actually finished like the original work. And then when the artist posted their version of it, the AI guy was like, "Yo, this is my drawing. Like you have to give me credit for it."
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
So what do
that
you
is
yeah.
I should think about that one. I
Okay.
think I think that's like I mean I think people just I think there's some like social responsibility here with like how we like start thinking about AI and stuff like obviously there's nothing you can do to stop him from screen grabbing that and like dropping
Yeah.
it into Photoshop's thing. And he's not like probably not profiting off of the image, but I think we as an audience have to do a better job of like understanding what's happening and like maybe like obviously that guy's an idiot, but we have a responsibility as like people participating online to like discern things and like be smart about what we're looking at and like I think like anyone could copy anything at like whenever. I just think this is like a new vessel to do it. So I think the ethics of it like are the same regardless of if it's AI or not. But I think AI like clearly in this case makes it really easy. So um yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so the next example is like slightly related to that. You said you heard of this, but there's a
Mhm.
guy who entered an art contest with a piece of AI generated art, and he won the art contest, and like he said it was like in the like credit thing it was like his name via Midjourney, but the judges didn't know what that meant, so they just like judged it as if it was a like he made the art, and obviously like his competitors were not happy, and
That's crazy.
yeah, so I guess initial thoughts on that, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Like we as an audience have to have that like responsibility to know what we're doing. And in this case, that audience are the judges. And I think AI might be feasting right now because like there's a lot of like old people who are vulnerable on the internet who are confused and easily taken advantage of. Like you like I don't know, like everyone's had their mom like show them some like video that's clearly fake or you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think this is like that to a hyper level where like someone could just be like a victim of like a Johnny Depp deep fake and not know it. So I think I think we as like young people, like I mean looking at this image, it's like clear it's AI to me, like so obvious. There's so many like tells.
Yeah.
But like people who aren't like online like that or like are just a bit confused by the internet and like it's uh like tropes, I guess, or especially AIs like calling cards, they might see this as real and like clearly it happened. So I think I think people just need to be like smarter, but I don't know how to get like
Yeah.
I think it's kind of clever that that guy did that honestly. Like I don't like it kind of brought attention to it's kind of like throwing the soup on the what was it on the Monet painting.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of thing where it's like yeah, maybe that this individual act wasn't like cool by this dude, but it like started a bigger conversation that might lead to like better change or like awareness. Um, I think the individual act is kind of cool that he did it, but I think like it teaches us something about like how we have to like be aware of this stuff. Um, but I do think I was thinking about this, knowing that we were going to talk about this. Even if this was like a technically beautiful image that was done by AI, if it was done by a human, it's like actually, even if it was pixel identical, it's more beautiful because of the context of it being like an expression of emotion or like the context of
Yeah.
that person's life. And I think that's a huge part of art that regardless of how good AI imagery gets, it will never be art because it's like not self-expression and it's not like it goes back to the audience has responsibility to realize like if this is a generated image, it doesn't have the context of like emotion or human experience that makes it beautiful and makes it art. Like and I think that's like the most important thing. It's like hyper realistic drawings. Like it's like what the fuck is the point?
Like the Obama portrait.
Yeah, like what is the point? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that I guess that's my take on that. Yeah.
Um yeah, so Dolly 2 and I'm not sure about the other ones, but at least Dolly 2 has in their like terms of service, one, you can't make money off of your AI generated stuff, and two, you have to tell people that it's AI generated.
Mm.
Um yeah, so do you think they should add more to their terms of service? Do you think there should be more limitations? And do you think there's any way of like enforcing the limitations they already have?
So, in what context do you have to tell people? Like when like submitting it or
I
just
think
posting it
yeah, I
or
think just publicizing it in any way.
interesting. Yeah, those are I don't know if I think maybe it could be a little less broad than that. Like maybe if it in specific scenarios, because I think like if I like go on Dolly and like generate something funny, I don't want to have to like write generated by Dolly. Like I think that's just like lame and like coats the internet and like a weird like branded thing. I don't know. But I think if you're gonna like submit to like an art contest or something, or if you're gonna like post a print on your website, like
Yeah.
that in that context, I think that's a good thing. And I don't know how it would be policed or like probably like any other copyright, but um, I mean the AI is good enough to scan the whole internet to generate the image in the first place. It should be good enough to then scan the same internet to find the image that it just
Yeah.
made and like identify if it's been like used in something incorrectly. Like this AI probably should have like seen that this image was like in an art contest or something and like flagged it somehow. I don't know. Maybe that's the future of it.
Yeah. So for like art contests and other things, or just like AI images in general, who do you think should like get the credit for the creation of the image? So I've already interviewed Ollie and Yana. Yana's answer was the credit, and or if you could somehow like make revenue off of it, like the profit should be split between the prompt person, the developers of the AI, and then if you could somehow figure out everyone in the data set, then like split it also between everyone in the data set. And then Ollie's answer was, as weird as he thought it was, the credit should probably go to the just the prompt person,
Mm.
because it would be like a weird precedent to like credit the developers, because like, are you gonna credit Adobe if you like make something in Photoshop?
Yeah, that's a good take. Like I think if anything, I think the thing I'm confused about with AI, and I think this would probably inform my answer on this, is like, are these images like, is it thousands of images that are being sourced for like one image, or is it like eight? You know? And I think if it's a smaller number, like I think then you can get into like people being like appropriately compensated because then like the tells are really clear if it's like from someone. But then I think like the person writing the prompt isn't doing much legwork either. Like I
Yeah.
don't think it takes like much skill to like discern what you're like supposed to do. Um, Maybe as like AI gets more advanced. I think I'm closer to Ollie's answer. I do think it probably should go more to the prompt giver, but if if there is like a clear list of people contributing to the learning of the AI in the instance, they probably deserve compensation as well. But I do agree, I don't think like DALL-E or OpenAI or whomever,
Yeah.
like it's a tool that they're letting us use, then that therefore we should just like use it fully. It's like no different than anything else.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
But it is different because you're training something to like do something very
Yeah.
specific, and like there's so much like legwork that goes into making something like this. Um, I think the solution might be, and maybe this would like create less copyright issues or things like that, is maybe the AI is too accessible right now. Maybe like the fact
Mhm.
that like some random user can go on a Twitch stream and like screenshot it and then like make something crazy. Like
Yeah.
maybe it should just be more expensive to like use an AI like this. And that's where the developers then get compensated because they're being paid like, I don't know, a subscription or a couple $100 for like
Mhm.
a platform. Um, and then in that purchase, you're legally agreeing to a contract too. It's like with like buying anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, if I think yeah, the developers if they would be compensated, it would be through like making it a paid thing, and then the artist could do whatever they want with it, or like the prompt giver.
So you think one solution to like many potential issues is making the act like making it less accessible to use the systems?
Yeah, because if let's say I don't know, let's be really extreme about it. Let's say it costs $1,000 to have
Mhm.
access or something. The only people who would then use or purchase that license or subscription to DALI would be like honestly probably professionals and
Yeah.
like people who are using it for like a very legitimate business reason or like creative reason. Um, at which point you would think they would operate with it pretty ethically. So I think that filter alone would it would strip the anonymous like free user like from like taking shit and like redistributing it, and then it would compensate the creators of the AI, and then the prompt giver would then be able to like pretty freely use it, and then like there should be some sort of like you know what I mean, like they should then
Yeah,
be able
and
to
then
use it
and then
to
the
the
terms
fullest
of
extent.
service would actually be enforceable as well because you could like cut off their
Exactly.
subscription. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, that's a
think
good answer.
it's like it just might be too open. As funny
Mhm.
as that sounds, it's like, yeah, it's just too easy right now, and I think that's leading to a lot of like, it's just like the Wild West.
Yeah.
Um, and an easy way to police things is by like making it cost more money.
Okay. So then there's you already mentioned this earlier, but so a lot of the systems are I don't remember. I've seen them like advertising it somewhere. I don't remember where, but a lot of the systems you can in the prompt you can put like in the style of like either a like broad art style or like individual artists. Um so do you have any thoughts on copying yeah, I guess one copying broad art styles, I don't think it's really a problem, and then copying individual art styles.
Yeah, I think broad art styles is fine because it's a genre and there's like no ownership of that genre.
Mhm.
But I think maybe you could put in like the terms and conditions, like if you're referencing a specific individual, that individual should then be compensated like for your like reference of them. Like it's so trackable. If you are like putting in like this, I want this to look like, I don't know, like some contemporary artist, that contemporary artist should then get compensated for it, and it should be very clear what's going on there.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, I think if it's like you're specifically referencing an individual and their like specific work, I think that is like some form of stealing without permission. So I think that in that situation they should be compensated or like flagged of it happening. Um, but then it gets into like a hairy like it's you're allowed to like cover songs and like allowed
Yeah.
to um like make like reproductions of like you can like draw your own version of the Mona Lisa with your own hand. Like and like that's fine.
Yeah.
Um but I do think because it's a computer doing it and like trying to capture it like to its like even down to its imperfections. Yeah. I think if someone is mentioned, either they should be flagged or compensated. But genres are fine, I think.
Do you think the ethics of it changes when it's a non-living artist?
Definitely, actually. I think it's like you probably would just apply whatever um the laws exist for like publicly accessible stuff now. What is the word? It's public.
Public
You know how
domain.
like yeah, public domain,
Yeah.
exactly. Like like old songs are now just like you can use them or
Mhm.
like old stuff. And I think you could apply that to like this clearly. Like I don't think Da Vinci's gonna roll over in his grave like
Yeah.
because stable diffusion like, you know. So but I think like, you know, there's like like recent there's like amazing artists that like die every day. So it shouldn't just be like an instant like get out of jail free card for AI to then like use their shit. So there probably should be some buffer and I would probably like you just do the public domain buffer, which is like what, 100 years? Something like
Um
that.
it's like some random it's like 127 years or something. It's because like Disney keeps getting it extended.
That's funny. Yeah.
Um so do you think in general as like more like philosophically, do you think that AI art like um deserves to be considered like a true form of artistic expression, or do you think it's somewhere else?
I don't think it's artistic expression at all because it's just a different thing. It's just like a fun thing on the internet and like might be a tool at some point. But I think my like strongest take about this stuff is it goes back to what I was saying about like the whole point of art to me is like the human experience and the context of that piece being made. And if the context of that being made is just like it's code and it scanned the internet, that's like not interesting at all. Um, so I don't think it is art because that is like the integral part of art to me and like expression and context of the human experience, which AI will never obviously have.
Yeah. Um so are you concerned about um AI? So there's already been some examples of like for instance, all of the articles I sent you, except for one, I think, have AI generated like key art at the top. It
Hmm.
kind of makes sense because they're about AI. But there was like I don't remember what website it was, but there was just some like random article about Alex Jones one time where like the key art at the top was it was just an AI generated image, which is like obviously before these systems existed, either there would be no key art or they would have to pay some illustrator to do that. Or are you worried about the kind of like small time commission like ecosystem getting kind of disrupted by AI?
Maybe by like small shitty publications or like weird like clickbaity like ad farming websites, but I think like real like editorial like art is just going to persist because I think again it like comes back to the context of like the human making that experience and the opinion that they have. And like if you're going to like pick up like in an extreme example, like if you have like the New Yorker or the New York Times, like maybe a one-off AI cover is fun, but like
Hmm.
if there's an article about something you want, like the same way someone would write that article and you would like try to analyze their opinion while writing it, you're probably doing the same for the art that's there. And I think people generally, I hope, are smart enough to like um, appreciate that element of art and want it and look for it in like their main like media diet. But I think in like really shitty websites or like websites that are designed to like just like generate clicks and stuff, you'll probably see less like real stuff. But I don't know if that bothers me as much as long as like the main like consensus is that like there's still value in just like real art.
So you're not worried about like um kind of like up and coming. You're not worried about there being like a pulling up the ladder behind you kind of effect of like the up and coming artists are like can't get commissions because like the small shitty websites that they would be doing stuff for are just using AI instead.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it because they'd probably be only paid like $20 anyways. Like I think if it does happen to, it would probably happen in small amount of cases, and like it's probably just better for the artist anyway to probably not work with that website. So I think the like commissions and art and projects worth taking will still be worth taking and by the same people. Like, um, yeah, I don't know. I think there is just like I think that context matters so much that a human made it, and I think that like a lot of people who value creative and have like positions in their company for creatives or uh, freelance, they work with freelancers. They understand that as well. So I'm honestly not worried. Like maybe some aspects of my current job could be automated, but like I would be fine with that. Like let them do that. Okay. So yeah.
So you don't think AI will ever be you think that people care enough about like the human aspect of art that even if AI is like can like perfectly like you there's no way you can tell it's generated by AI. You think just knowing that it's generated by AI, people will still prefer something that's made by a human?
Yeah, I think there will be like there will definitely be instances where like a company is like just automatically generating their designs or art or whatever. But I think that people and us as humans in general will like appreciate just human made shit in spite of that, and it might just flip it back. Like a company might start generating their like their shit and then people will be like their engagement might go down. I don't, you know what I mean? So I think maybe maybe at first we'll see more, but I'm not worried about it in terms of a long term like overall replacement of like creation and art and the value behind it.
So something I asked Ollie about is that so like for instance, I don't know how much you keep up with Star Wars, but Disney has already um begun using various forms of like AI and like that type of thing to um kind of resurrect old characters. So for instance, Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian, he was a deepfake. And then in Book of Boba Fett, he's back again. He's a better deepfake, and additionally, his voice is also a deepfake. And then for the Kenobi show, Darth Vader's voice was also, even though they credited James Earl Jones, his voice was also AI generated.
Hmm.
So for like giant companies like Disney, where like obviously all they care about is like like maximum profit, like they really don't care what they're making as long as people are watching it. Do you fear a future where like slowly like more and more aspects of shows are like, let's say like distant future, like 50 years or something, is like AI generated script with like AI generated imagery and like, yeah.
Yeah, I think if the whole product is AI, like I would think that the general population wouldn't be interested in it. I'm banking on that. I think that's my take. I really think that's the case. I think AI has been used like to some extent. Like if you open up an editing software, like a lot of those effects and shit, it's just already AI. It's just not like generating large
Yeah.
images that are picture perfect. So yeah, I think. I mean, I think its value is as a tool. So I think if it's used like that, like I think that's where it thrives. And I don't fear like a whole movie or like franchise being created by AI and then dominating or anything like that because again I think people just wouldn't care even if it was like sick as fuck. Like I just think like I don't know, maybe it would be sick, but like
Yeah.
it would probably just be like a novelty the first time it happened and I don't think it would be sustainable.
You don't think it would ever be good enough to like, I guess not really like trick the public into thinking it's not AI, but like good enough that like the average person doesn't really care. They just want to like watch Star Wars or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting because you're asking if like an AI is able like to create like I don't know 3 new Star Wars movies that are just like sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I mean that's tough. That's a tough example because it's it's iterating on something that was created by a human that people already love,
Uh-huh.
and their reason for loving it was because it was made by a human with that like context and all that shit. So maybe if it was like iterating on existing franchises and shit that people loved, maybe AI would like thrive in that like
Mhm.
niche. I guess it's not really a niche. I guess that's like the dominant like
Yeah.
culture. But um I don't think it would like be successful in like doing anything new. And I think a lot of people's like reasons for, like watching like a new AI generated Star Wars franchise like trilogy would be because they already love Star Wars. Um
Do you think like eventually people would like get tired of it, but then the AI like the new stuff that it's generating is like not as good as the uh derivative stuff?
yeah, like you probably I mean, I would hope that you would like be like after like 18 AI Star Wars movies, you'd be like, all right, well, this
Yeah.
isn't like commenting on anything anymore. Like, if it is, it's not like from like a human's mind. So like, I would just feel really stupid watching something like that. So I would hope that other people would also. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, last question. So you're a graphic designer, right?
Yeah.
Um so I guess one, has your company ever done stuff with AI? Like, are they looking into it, or is it just like totally not on their radar?
It's not on our radar creatively at all. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if like companies in my sector in the future generate stuff because they're not like we're not creating art. Like the stuff I make is like it goes on LinkedIn and then it's like used to promote like an event that's happening overseas and like there's
Yeah.
no like emotional connection to it. So it totally would be easy to automate and I could see especially like the tech industry like having no problem automating all this stuff. Um I haven't seen it specifically in my company. Um I think it just comes down to like I don't care if like this sector automates shit because like it's not for people anyways. It's for people within that sector, you know?
Yeah.
Like no one outside of like my job's immediate circle is like engaging with the stuff I make. Like you would never ever see something I make ever. Like it's just like it actually like almost impossible. So like um so I don't care if it gets automated because it's not for like enjoyment. It's not for like emotional importance or anything. And um I think I'm starting a new job next week actually. So I think in
Nice.
that role, like maybe that would be like I just think in the tech sector, it just doesn't matter. And probably more sectors. because it's just like there's no point to even be like a creative in that space at all. It's
Yeah.
just pointless.
So in terms of like graphic design in general, are you worried about, I mean, there's already like AI logo generators that will like give basically like do your like whole like sketching process and stuff for you, and then you just like pick the one you like the most and like iterate on that. Are you worried
Yeah,
about like the yeah, I guess like more just like general graphic design stuff being replaced by AI?
I could see branding being like something that AI replaces, and I could see the value in it for like someone who's starting a small business and they could like get a logo for free and like a whole
Mhm.
brand kit for free.
Yeah.
Um, which is unfortunate. But then I think the businesses that are special, they still seek out like if you're like if there's like a cool butcher in town, they likely have like out like sought out a designer they appreciate and like so I think it might AI is gonna like fill in the gaps of like the very like the bottom feeders or like the like low hanging fruit. Um, but I think like real good shit that people care about, like your favorite coffee shop, like shit like that. Like I think and I hope that like they like the AI will never even come close to penetrating that in a meaningful way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any like final general thoughts on everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is I think it's really sick as a tool and I think it can be like used really interestingly to like like to work alongside a human in the creative process and like if I need to upscale an image or like there's a like it's already been happening like content
Yeah.
aware scale like shit like that and I think it's amazing and it makes like the shitty part of being a creative way better very often. But like I would never like use AI to like compose something for me or like make creative decisions and I think that's something that will be valuable like the human mind in that sense will always just like prevail and I hope so like I could just be really wrong and this might age horribly but like I feel optimistic about like the human like experience I guess in like
Yeah.
art and shit so um yeah I think it's a cool tool but it will never even touch like the emotional value of like human made art.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Thank
Hell yeah.
you. Thanks for being interviewed.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. This is
Yeah.
sick. Word.
All
Take
right.
care.